What's up, guys? We are back with NFL playoff action. Here we're going to be looking at the NFC and AFC Championship games. We've got tons of plays out there, lots of props. We've obviously got our leans on the over-unders and on the side, so we're going to dive in. We've got a lot to break down on just these two games. Do me a big favor, guys. Smash that like button here before we get started. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all of our videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that little badge next to your comments keeps me fired up and motivated to make this channel even bigger and better. And big shout out, guys, to all of the brand new channel members. Our videos are brought to you by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there covering every major sport. Right now, guys, we are looking at NFL. College football just ended, and it ended on a high note. NBA, NCAA basketball is going nuts out there. We had a great 3-0 start to our NCAA day on Saturday. We'll see if that continues into the PM, but right now things are looking pretty good. We also cover NHL and the UFC, and hockey's been on a sick run lately after having, a little bit of a slow start at the very beginning of the season. This is one of the best times to sign up for a premium membership with so many sports going on and NFL playoff action here, going nuts. Click the link in the description of the video to get over there. You can also check out our daily free picks and join our free email list. If you don't want to sign up for a premium account, that's the perfect thing to do, is just get on that email list. We'll give you occasional, free picks straight to your inbox. And we will also, guys, we'll give you, the occasional premium pick in there as well, and we'll keep you updated on our record and stuff like that for how our premium picks are doing. Also, guys, if you're having trouble with the email list, or add sts@stumpthespread.com into your trusted email list, and that way you won't have the problem. We've had a few people emailing us lately saying their emails are ending up in the spam folder, so we want to avoid that. If you're trying to get our emails, we want them to come through. Also, guys, comment below with any bets you're looking at today. I'll give you my best advice on all of them. I respond to every single comment every day, so let me know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We're looking at the Washington Commanders going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington comes into this game, guys, clearly the Cinderella of the NFL season so far. I mean, finishing things up with a 12-5 record in the regular season was crazy enough, but they've gone on a playoff run here too, guys, beating the Buccaneers by 3 points in a pretty close game that, was kind of marred by some mistakes there by Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, but Washington took advantage and got the win. Then they followed it up with a huge 45-31 win there at Detroit, taking the game away from the Detroit Lions. Crazy stuff in that one. Jaden Daniels looking amazing. 299 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 0 times. It was very helpful for Washington that we saw, Jared Goff absolutely implode, getting picked off 3 times. So that's got to be a pretty big concern. I mean, as a team, they threw 4 interceptions in the game. The Lions were trying everything they could, but it just was not meant to be. We saw good stuff there from Brian Robinson Jr., 77 yards on 15 carries, a couple of touchdowns for him. Jaden Daniels was also good running the ball as he normally is. Austin Eckler actually having something of a pop-off game there, 6 carries for 47 yards. In general, guys, Washington just did a really good job of taking advantage of that very depleted Detroit Lions defense. I mean, we all know, we've been hearing all season long and been watching it happen all season long, the Lions just losing guy after guy. They were basically running a, kind of second team type of defense out there by the end of the year. So kind of a brutal season there overall for the Lions. So yeah, we'll see what they can get done in the offseason, see if they can get healthy and see what they come back with next year. But right now, guys, Washington looking very good. We saw big stuff there from Brown. Terry McLaurin was good in the receiving game as well. He caught 4 out of 6 targets for 87 yards and a touchdown, and he remains the #1 wide receiver out there for the Commanders. It was very interesting to see Austin Eckler, guys, 41 receiving yards, and also active there in the running game, 47 rushing yards. So good stuff from him. Obviously, a lot of those yards came on that big chunk run of 35, but still good stuff out there from Austin Eckler. The problem that generally confronts this Washington Commanders team, and has been their Achilles heel, if they have one, this season, has been that defense. They gave up 31 points last week. They did have all those takeaways, 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery, so 5 total turnovers. That's great, but can they count on doing that against the Philadelphia Eagles? It's not really something that the Eagles tend to do, so we'll see. They obviously give up a lot of points. They give up over 300 passing yards. They could not stop Jahmyr Gibbs, and I will probably never be able to wrap my head around why Detroit didn't just run the ball basically every single down for that entire game. I mean, Gibbs had 105 rushing yards. David Montgomery had 28. We saw Jameson Williams break off that 61-yard run and for that touchdown. So yeah, just crazy stuff there. I would think Detroit could have probably won this game by just running it down the Commanders' throat. So we'll see if there's any sort of adjustment there by Washington, if they're able to do something here to stop the run, but it's going to be kind of a big ask in my opinion. We'll see what they can do though. Looking at their injury report here, guys, it's looking okay-ish. Obviously, Payne being out there is not ideal. They're not going to be at full strength there on the defensive line. That's not great. Obviously, you don't want to have injuries at this point in the season, but it's part of the game, guys. It's going to happen. Other than that, I mean, it's not looking terrible out there. Everybody that you need to be healthy is healthy. We do see, missing Sam Cosmi. That's not great there on the offensive line, but that could be made up for a little bit. So I think we're okay in general in terms of the Washington injury report right now, but definitely not ideal there, missing a guy out of your front four. That's not what you want going into a huge playoff game like this, heading on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 14-3 this season. That was their regular season record, and they're 2-0 now in the postseason, guys. Very good stuff. Getting a 22-10 comfortable win there against the Packers, and then following up with a 28-22 win against the Rams, which honestly probably should have been like 35-22, but Saquon wasn't exactly gonna. He made the move to confirm the win. All right, cool. Cost a lot of people a lot of money, but he did the right thing in terms of confirming the win. He had a massive day out there too, so I don't think he was too worried about it. In general, we loved what we saw from Philadelphia in that game. Jalen Hurts getting asked to do very little, which is what needs to happen, at least with his arm. He only passed for 128 yards. He was sacked 7 times. Definitely a concern, and we are worried about the health of his knee. He did have that knee issue, came off the field. Definitely was saying some weird stuff to some reporters, and seemed like the pain whatever pain meds they had him on definitely worked, but also maybe had him a little bit loopy. So we'll see what he looks like out there in this one. I'm expecting him to be not maybe at full strength, but pretty close. And he did run the ball 7 times for 70 yards. He also had a 44-yard run in there, had a rushing touchdown. So loved what Hurts was able to do with his legs in this game. And he did what he needed to do with his arm without taking too many risks. So that's great. The real story of this Eagles offense, guys, was another just transcendent game there from Saquon Barkley. He had 26 carries for 205 yards. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns. He also caught 4 passes for 27 yards. Like, this guy is absolutely doing it all out there, looking borderline unstoppable, and he has to be licking his chops here, about to go up against this Washington Commanders defense that has not been very good against the run all season long. So pretty much expecting a massive day out there from Saquon. I don't know why Philadelphia would really go away from handing it off to him a million times, but it's not impossible. We just saw the Lions make a similar mistake when they could have been handing it off a million times and decided to kind of get cute out there. So we'll see what goes on in this game. I'm expecting big stuff from Saquon. No surprise there. Will we see Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown get a little bit more love in this game? Well, that feels a bit up in the air, guys. A.J. Brown caught only 2 of his 7 targets. Definitely some pretty key drops out there from him and from the Philadelphia receiving corps in general. Dallas Goedert had a nice day, caught 4 out of his 4 targets, and 56 yards. Nothing wrong with that. So maybe he's going to get a little bit more of a look here. Generally speaking, though, the Eagles played not a flawless game, but a very good game. They turned the ball over 0 times. Those 7 sacks are a concern, but they're not going to be facing the full-strength Commanders defensive line, so maybe that'll make things a little bit easier for them. On defense, the Eagles played very well, guys. They generated 2 turnovers, had 5 sacks there against Stafford. They didn't do an amazing job holding Kyren Williams down. I mean, he had 106 rushing yards and 19 carries against them, but they did a decent job of limiting Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Demarcus Robinson caught only 3 out of 7 targets, so they did a very good job, and this Eagles defense has been good all season long, guys. This is not some new thing that all of a sudden their defense is playing well in the playoffs. Like, they finished the regular season 2nd in the NFL, giving up 17.8 points per game. They're good against the run. They're good against the pass. The last time they faced the Commanders, guys, it didn't go amazing because Jalen Hurts got hurt in that game. They ended up losing 36-33, but they held Washington to only 14 points in the first half. They held them to 0 points in the third quarter. Things just got a little bit off the rails there at the end of the game. They had a couple of interceptions there against Jaden Daniels. They didn't do a great job of slowing down him running the ball, but they did a decent job of slowing down everybody else. So we'll see what kind of adjustments the Eagles can make in this one, to have a different outcome. But I would say having your starting quarterback out there probably could have changed things in that fourth quarter where Philadelphia got outscored 6-22. So we'll see what they can do in this one. I'm expecting good things from the Eagles defense. In terms of the Eagles injury report, guys, we do see Cam Jurgens listed as questionable for this game at center, but I very much expect him to find a way to be ready to go. Jalen Hurts isn't even on the injury report. I think that's a little bit of a a false injury report there. I do think he's a little bit banged up, but I think overall he's going to be okay. And if he does miss the occasional series or something like that, Kenny Pickett coming in to hand the ball to Saquon, not going to be the end of the world. They'll still be able to move the ball. On defense, they're looking very, very healthy, so that's all great news there for the Eagles. Obviously, coming into a big game like this healthy is, key, absolutely key. Whoever's healthiest at the end of the season is going to have a big leg up. So, loving what we're seeing there in terms of the weather for this game, guys. It looks like it's going to be 39 degrees, somewhere in there, partly cloudy, 14-mile-per-hour winds. So, a little bit of wind, enough to be annoying on like super long field goals, but normal field goals, extra points, the passing game, I don't think it's going to be significantly impacted by that kind of wind situation. So no big weather concerns here. Looking at some trends for this game, guys. Washington is 12-6-1 against the spread this year overall. They're 5-4-1 against the spread on the road. They're also 12-7 to the over. Philadelphia, they're 12-7 against the spread this year. They are 5-5 against the spread at home, and they're 11-8 to the under. Guys, we're not going to overcomplicate things here. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles at -6. There's plenty of good reasons here. Number one is I don't think Washington has a prayer of stopping the Philadelphia Eagles running attack. I'm not sure if Hurts is going to be able to run the ball amazingly well, but Saquon could run the ball 25, 30 times in this game. He could end with 300 rushing yards because this team cannot stop the run. I think Washington got pretty lucky to get by Tampa Bay in the first round. I think they were gifted a win, at least kind of there, by the Detroit Lions by not running the ball and letting, Jared Goff just throw the game away for them. So definitely think this is a time where the run comes to an end here. Rookie quarterbacks, guys, in these kind of situations do not tend to do very well. So that's another black mark there against Washington. And guys, here's a referee stat for you. Hockey Lee is the referee for this game. Philadelphia is 6-0 when he's out there, 5-1 against the spread. Washington 0-3 against the spread with him as the referee. So all of those things line up to me. We are definitely loving the Eagles here at anything under 7. 6.5, fine. 6, fine. Anything under 7, fine. If it gets over 7, maybe we have to rethink this. But I definitely think this is a great spot to be on the Philadelphia Eagles. In terms of the over-under of 47.5 for this game, it's a little bit tough for me to figure out. I do think both teams are going to want to run the ball, which makes me want to lean a little bit towards the under, but I just can't do that in this situation, guys. 47.5, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of these over-unders in NFL. It just seems like I always get burned somehow, so I'm going to be leaning towards the over. Maybe that means you should go towards the under, but my main play in this game, definitely going to be the Philadelphia Eagles there at -6. Now, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some player props for this game. We've got a bunch of them that I really like. And first up, guys, I like McLaurin here over 59.5 receiving yards at -120. He's been over that number in both playoff games and in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. He's clearly the number one target there of Jaden Daniels. I think they're going to have to be throwing the ball. I don't think Philadelphia is going to give up a ton to the running attack here. So definitely think this is a great, great spot to go ahead and back McLaurin here to get to 60 receiving yards. This is a prop that has a great chance to end up in the pinned comment. No doubt about that. I also have another wide receiver prop that I like, but in kind of the opposite direction here, guys. I think A.J. Brown not going to get a whole lot of work in this one. I'm taking him under 69.5 receiving yards at -135. Too many drops last week. I don't know why he would be a main focus of the game plan here, which needs to be get Saquon the ball early and often and just shut up and get out there and block. That's it. So we'll see if that's what actually happens with A.J. Brown in this one. He'll have plenty of time. It was him that was reading a book on the sidelines, right? He'll have plenty of time to read that book because they're going to be running the ball here and playing defense. So expecting bad stuff from him, but I'm expecting good stuff here from Goddard, guys. I like him over 39.5 receiving yards at even odds. Hurts maybe is seeing him as the most reliable target right now. 56 yards last week, 40-plus yards in the last 3 weeks in a row. Goddard to get his yards in this game is very, very live to me. And at even odds, this has a great chance to end up in the pin comment as well. Like, that just seems like excellent, excellent value to me. Now, guys, looking at some Jalen Hurts-related props. I definitely think this is a good spot to take him under on his passing yards. Under 199.5 passing yards. It is -145, so at that expensive of a price, it might not end up in the pin comment. But I'm not sure I 100% believe in his knee. Passing the ball shouldn't be, the focus of the game plan here for the Eagles. So getting to 200 passing yards seems like a very big stretch here, even against this Washington defense that is obviously not very good. Another Jalen Hurts prop that I like, guys. I think taking him over 29.5 rushing yards at -130 is extremely live. Obviously, the knee problem, yeah, I don't know about that one, guys. But this Washington defense stinks. He's crushed this number 5 weeks in a row. He had 41 yards on only 3 carries the last time he was against Washington, and that was a game he got knocked out of. So God knows how many rushing yards he would have ended up by the end. So definitely like Hurts over 20.5 rushing yards in this game, unless you can find some like crazy footage out there somewhere of him like super limping or like looking really bad on that knee. I think Hurts to get over in his rushing yards is super live in this game. Now, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive into the Buffalo Bills going on the road to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Clearly the marquee game of the day, guys. The Bills come into this one 13-4. They finished the regular season off very well. They got a nice blowout win against the Broncos in week 1 of the playoffs, and then in week 2, I'm not going to say necessarily exercise some demons here, but they got a nice win, a 27-25 clutch win there against the Ravens. Definitely a little bit of luck there involved for the Bills, clearly, but you need some luck in the playoffs for sure. Josh Allen played a lot better than his stats would indicate, guys. Only 127 passing yards, 16 of 22, though. Not a bad completion percentage. Sacked 1 time, picked off 0 times. He did rush for 2 touchdowns and only 20 yards on 10 attempts, so nothing insane there, but getting the job done when it mattered the most. And the Bills were right there to dive on every single mistake that the Ravens were making. So good stuff there from Josh Allen. I think he clearly showed, he deserves to be where he's at right now, and we'll see if he can, exercise some real demons here playing at Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs. We didn't hate what we saw from James Cook there in the running game either. 17 carries for 67 yards is not insane, but the Ravens are a pretty good run defense. Not that the Chiefs are too bad themselves, so we'll see what Cook can get done. They're going to need to be able to run the ball in this game. Ty Johnson also was good. Only 5 carries for him there, though, so we'll see what they do in the running game, but they're going to need to be able to run the ball in this one, I would assume, because the passing game didn't look too hot there for the Bills last week. I mean, Kahil Shakir, 6 receptions, 67 yards, caught 6 out of 7 targets, so that's not bad, and he had that 34-yard catch in there, so some good stuff for sure, but not a whole lot of guys going nuts. Like Dalton Kincaid, only 1 catch on 2 targets. Nothing major there from James Cook or Mac Hollins. Didn't even really see Amari Cooper in the game not really in the game playing too much. Only had 1 target in the game, so not an amazing passing day there from the Buffalo Bills, but they didn't turn the ball over, and that was the difference maker in the game. The Bills' defense was good. They were given some help there by the Ravens. I mean, they had 2 sacks. They had that 1 interception against Lamar. They had 2, fumble recovers there, a fumble by Mark Andrews and a fumble away there by Lamar Jackson. So just very good stuff there from the Bills, ready to capitalize on the mistakes, but they did struggle against Derrick Henry in the running game, who's not going to struggle against Derrick Henry in the running game, but still, they definitely did. They didn't do a good job of slowing down Lamar Jackson running the ball either. They gave up 2 passing touchdowns and 250 yards through the air. We saw Isaiah likely have 73 receiving yards there, and this was all against, a team that didn't even have their best wide receiver options. So not loving what we're seeing from the Bills defensively, and didn't really love what we saw from the Bills defensively over the course of the season. I mean, they had some games where it looked okay, but over the course of the year, guys, giving up 21.6 points per game against not the toughest schedule, doesn't really make you look amazing. They did beat the Chiefs earlier this year, 30-21, so all right, kudos on that, but we'll see what they can do in this one, guys. It's gonna be a very exciting game, regardless of how it goes out there. The Bills come into this one looking pretty healthy. That's a big deal on offense, at least. We see Josh Allen ready to go. The offensive line's good to go. All that. No injuries there to the wide receiver group that are meaningful at this point. So loving this health there on offense, but on defense, they're looking a little bit banged up, guys. Taylor Rapp looks like he's going to be out for this game there at safety. Christian Benford could be out at cornerback as well. Yeah, Taylor Rapp, guys. Apparently his hip/back issue has him confirmed out for this game, so he won't be out there. And yeah, that's a big deal, guys. And Christian Benford, guys, he's still dealing with a concussion. He did not practice on Friday. He's questionable for this game, so they could be without 2 members of their secondary here against the Chiefs. That's a bit of a rough look. Obviously, the Chiefs are a team that want to run the ball, but at some point they're going to be throwing it also. So I'm a little bit concerned about the Bills' injury report coming into this game, taking on what has looked like maybe the best or luckiest, hard to say, team in the NFL. The Chiefs went 15-2 in the regular season. They got a very easy first round playoff matchup there against the Texans. They won that game 23-14. So just everything pointed in the right direction right now for the Chiefs. We saw the Mahomes-Kelsey connection looking great there in the first game of the playoffs for them. Mahomes 177 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions, sacked 3 times. He also ran the ball 7 times for 14 yards and was, that sideline flop and I don't know. There's basically all the bad things that people want to say about the Chiefs. I'm 100% here for it. I'll listen. I'm right there with you. But you have to kind of, block those things out of your mind and think about not who you want to win, but where you think the value is. So right now, guys, Kareem Hunt feels pretty good. 8 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown last week. Pachenko, not quite as successful on his 5 carries. Mahomes not doing anything special. And those, that Xavier Worthy running attempt, that did not look great. So I don't expect them to completely abandon that, but maybe they will, because you don't want to be putting up -8 rushing yards very often. That's going to be a big, big problem. So expecting Kansas City to be dedicated to the run in this game as well. We loved what we saw from Kelsey last week. Caught 7 of 8 targets, 117 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 49-yard catch mixed in there, so he's balling. We didn't see DeAndre Hopkins. That whole thing hasn't been quite the connection that I expected, but Xavier Worthy still well in the mix. He's looking good, and Mahomes, guys. Mahomes just comes through with the clutch plays when they need to, or gets help from the officials, or whatever you want to say, but whatever needs to happen somehow does happen. So we'll see what the Chiefs can do on offense at this time. They had 0 turnovers last week. That's a huge deal, and they were successful running the ball. So they're going to be hoping to replicate that at least to some extent here. On defense, giving up only 14 points last week against a pretty talented offense has to feel good. They held C.J. Stroud in check. They didn't stop Joe Mixon, so that's a bit of a concern here against the Bills, a team that will definitely run the ball when given the chance. But they did a good job against Nico Collins. They did a good job against Dalton Schultz. Not an amazing job, but good enough. And they just seem to get the help when they need it and to make the plays when they need to make the plays. So liking what we saw from the Kansas City Chiefs last week. Will they be able to replicate that this week? Well, they come into this game very healthy, so that's certainly helpful. We see, Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, both ready to go there at running back. The wide receiver group could get a little bit more work this week. We'll see if that actually happens against a banged-up Bills secondary, so it could make some sense there. And the offensive line comes into this game fully healthy, so that's something you really need to see. And guys, the main strength of this Chiefs team has been their defense basically all season long, and they're looking good, guys. They are all ready to go. They've got a full slate of starters just ready to rock out there, and I think they could be in for a pretty good game. Obviously, it's going to be tough. You got to slow down Josh Allen, but who else do you really have to slow down? That's kind of the question for the Bills. So we'll see what the Chiefs can do here, guys. Over the course of the season, we've loved what we've seen from the Chiefs defensively. They're only giving up, 19.2 points per game. That's 4th in the NFL this season. So looking at the weather for this game, no major weather concerns here, really, which is a bit surprising for a game at Arrowhead, guys. It's going to be around 32 degrees, so right around the freezing point. Very clear, not cloudy or anything like that, and very, very little wind. So we're not worried about the kicking game. We're not worried about the passing game. Everything should be good to go. In terms of some trends for this one, guys, the Bills, 12-7 against the spread, 5-4 against the spread on the road. They are 11-7-1 to the over this season. The Chiefs are 8-10 against the spread, 3-6 against the spread at home, though. Not a very good against the spread at home team, but they were big favorites a lot, and we had a great time fading them as those big favorites. They were also 11-7 to the under. Guys, we're going to be taking the Chiefs at home in this classic Mahomes and Kansas City spot. There's just no way to get around it. Mahomes, he's 3-0 straight up and against the spread against Josh Allen in the playoffs. It honestly feels like Allen is out there by himself at times with very few weapons around him. I don't want to be fading Mahomes as a favorite of less than a field goal, and I also don't want to be going against the NFL or the referees, as they seem very bought into Kansas City getting to go for the three-peat this season. Mahomes is 23-2 straight up in home games in November or later when it's 40 degrees or colder out, and hasn't lost in that situation since losing to Tom Brady back in 2019. Just too many things pointing towards the Chiefs here. Too much history. If we lose this one, we lose this one. But we are going down with the ship here on the team that just feels like they're destined to make this happen. In terms of the over-under, guys, obviously mixed trends between these two teams. I'm going to lean slightly towards the under here. I think both teams want to run the ball. I don't think either team's going to be willing to take the risks of throwing it a ton, as that can really, turn the game on a dime. Obviously, the Chiefs have faith in Mahomes. I think the Bills have similar amount of faith, but maybe not quite as much faith in Josh Allen's arm. So I'm going to be leaning a bit towards the under, but once again, not an over-under spot that I'm in love with. I definitely think this is a great spot to take the Chiefs at either -1.5, -2. Anything less than a field goal, there's nothing wrong with taking Mahomes. Now, guys, let's look at some props for this game. And first up, we are going back to the well with Travis Kelce over 69.5 receiving yards at -110. He had 117 yards on 8 targets last week. I don't see any major reason that should change in this matchup. Also, we've got a slightly banged up Bills secondary, so that might even help him a little bit here. And that's the, Mahomes' favorite target. He has big performances in the playoffs all the time. I think we see Kelce have another very good week. On the other side, guys, I like Khalil Shakir over 59.5 receiving yards at -105, 67 yards on 6 out of 7 targets, caught 6 out of 7 targets last week. He's clearly the only receiving option that Josh Allen really trusts at this point, and I think we see him have a pretty good day out there, even if it doesn't result in a win. I think we like Dalton Kincaid as well, under 34.5 receiving yards at -125. Caught 1 of 2 targets last week for 11 yards. I don't think the Bills are suddenly going to make him a massive part of the game plan here. I also think, the Bills are going to want to run the ball. We'll see how much success they have running the ball, but I think that all takes away from targets going towards Dalton Kincaid. And Josh Allen's going to want to run it himself too. So I don't think throwing it to Kincaid's really going to be too much in the mix. On the Chiefs side, I like Mahomes here under 249.5 passing yards at -105. Throwing the ball, not what the Chiefs are about right now, and with their wide receiver group kind of mediocre, I don't see them airing it out. Obviously, the Bills secondary being banged up makes me hesitate on this one a little bit, so it might not end up in the pinned comment, but I don't necessarily think we see a crazy throwing the ball game from Mahomes in this one. Last but not least, guys, maybe my favorite prop from this game. I like Hunt here over 34.5 rushing yards at -135. He had 44 yards on only 8 carries last week. I think we see him closer to 15 carries this week, easily getting over that number of rushing yards. I don't think that'll be very hard at all. I think we could even see him have a big running week in this one. I know that, him and Pachenko split carries and all that kind of stuff, but I think Kareem Hunt is actually the better back right now, and I think we could even see him, bust out a run or two here against a Bills defense that doesn't really impress me all that much. But guys, that's all we have for this one. Obviously only 2 games this week, and the NFL season really winding down, but it's been an amazing one. So thanks for everybody, hanging around and being in the mix here. Don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel a ton, and subscribe over here if you're new. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're making progress. We're definitely making progress, closer than I ever thought we'd be in my whole life. So I really appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate all the channel members, everybody that comments down below. You can say something mean, you can say something nice. I appreciate all the love on the new kid. That's been a huge, that's been amazing. It's been an amazing experience. So thank you all. Don't forget to get over to stumpthespread.com. You can see our free picks. You can get signed up for a premium membership. The premium picks have been doing really well lately. We did have a bad day on Friday, but we bounced back hard on Saturday with the college basketball slate going really well. So thank you to everybody out there that's been signed up. Don't forget to click that like button, and we will see you guys on a Monday for more sports betting action.